I'm excited to finally talk about the most anticipated ship release for 2025, the RSI Perseus. In this video, we're going to talk all about the RSI Perseus. Let's just get into this video. All right, guys, so just get straight into it. Just a little bit about what the RSI Perseus is. It says here, when RSI set out to make a definitive modern statement in persuasive prevention, they looked into their own past to a heroic gunship design, Perseus, capable of shredding subcapital class Goliaths, and mere presence of the Perseus gunship in blockades or patrol squad is enough to make your aggressive enemies think twice before engaging, just like its vintage namesake. So the Perseus is going to be a gunship. That's what it's classified as. And to be quite honest, it's going to be sitting around the size of the Hammerhead if you want to compare it to a ship in the game currently. And it's just a little bit smaller than the RSI Polaris. So now, in terms of what it's going to be capable of doing, it's going to be a ship that's going to be a serious threat to subclass ships like the Hammerhead size. It's going to chew up the Hammerhead. I'm not even gonna lie, it's gonna chew up the Hammerhead very easily. And it's a big threat to capital ships. So like the Polaris, it's going to be a huge threat to Polaris, especially if you run them in groups. It's going to be a threat to in a nuisance, and also a threat in groups against something as big as the Idris. So let's get into the technical details about this ship. All right, so now before we get into that, actually, let's look at some of the images that CIG has offered here. Okay, so when you look at this, the famous image for this ship is this image right here as it pierces through the Hammerhead. Right, they're essentially showing that this thing is going to be chewing Hammerheads for breakfast. It's nothing, right? Reason being is its armament, which we'll talk about in a bit. But it has two main guns here, and there's also a set in the bottom. So now if you look at all the images, something I didn't know, that it was actually four total of these. These are size 8s, by the way. These will be size 8s. Initially when they pitched it, it was size 7s, but these will be size 8s. So it has a total of 4. So 2 here and 2 in the bottom. And if you get those guns on anything subclass or smaller, it's going to be a problem. Anything capital class is going to be a ship that can disable it pretty quickly, take out its engines or anything like that. It's a huge threat. Okay, so this image right here is a classic. It's a classic. So now, loving the look of the RSI designs. It looks similar to the Polaris, but not exactly like the Polaris. I like these sharp silhouettes that the RSI is going for. It wasn't the design that they had initially, but this is their new modernized designs for RSI ships. That sharp look right here. So now these main guns are such a deterrent. If you see these guns which point at you, just run, right? Like, and it just looks awesome, man. So as you can see, the bridge sits right here in the top right here. And we'll talk about the armaments, but it has a turret right here. And the main gun is in the front. So these are manned guns, okay? Also at the bottom, there's going to be the same gun, dual gun. Also at the bottom, also manned. So just in terms of manning the guns, you're looking at one person, another person in the bottom, probably these remote turrets. I'm not sure if there's another one of these in the bottom. I think it's only this one at the top here. So you're looking at a 3-man just to run the guns, okay? And then your pilot, right? And then anybody else that's helping with engineering, anybody else that's helping with the systems and stuff like that. But all in all, this is a beautiful design. All right, so now let's this one is also a popular image that I really like. You can see it. Yeah, I should have noticed it because you could see the projectiles also shooting from the bottom there when I initially saw this But always, for some reason, I always thought this was only these two main guns, which initially was pitched at size 2, size 7s. But recently, CIG decided to make them size 8. So it's going to be very devastating. Okay. So now, we'll talk about that later. I was going to talk about more of its firepower, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Some more images. You can see that this thing has torpedoes, right? So it has torpedoes here. This is what the interiors will kind of look like. Has the RSI feel, which looks pretty cool. I'm loving the new RSI looks, by the way. Okay. Awesome view. Awesome view. Yeah, this gunship, you run them in groups. You got to run them in multiples. If you run them around with like 2 or 3, I think that's very effective, very deadly against capital class ships, subclass ships. It's nothing. Anything subclass and under is nothing to it. And yeah, so this is a nice image right here. Hopefully you guys can see it well. Yeah, you can. And another beautiful image of it right here. Love the look of this ship. Love the look of this ship. It just looks so aggressive, and I think that's the intent. The same way the Polaris looks aggressive, I really like the aggressive look of it. A great view here. Even here, like, reason why I never thought it had gun turrets at the bottom, you don't see it here, right? But this is also, there's supposed to be another set in the bottom here, just sitting right here, but you don't really see it, you know. So it's going to be able to carry a rover, and it has a few cargo, a few SU of cargo space available to either fit a vehicle or to fit cargo or anything else that you may find out there. We'll talk more on that. More images here. All right. Awesome looking ship. Yeah, as they're intended to run in groups. As you guys can see, CIG is essentially showing it in groups. You don't see them solo. All right, so now this, I think, is one of the man turrets. This is probably the main turret at the top, the front top main turret. This is where you would sit in, and I think these are torpedoes, I believe. Yeah. All right. And that's the classic image of it. Yeah. All right. So now that's it for the images. So now this ship, let's look into the details about this ship, right? So you're looking at 100 meters in length, 21 meters in height, and 50 meters wide, right? So now there's a suspicion that it's possible that this ship may get bigger. So I wouldn't be surprised if this ship becomes a little bit longer and a little bit wider. I wouldn't be surprised, just to accommodate the interior space. Because when this thing was pitched, I don't recall when they pitched this, but it was a while ago. So they may need to create more space to accommodate with the new gameplay mechanics, especially GNAT gameplay and all that stuff. So I would not be surprised if this gets a little bit bigger. And you're looking at two size 10, 2 times 10 size 5 missiles, it says here. But these are actually a total of 20 torpedoes. These are size 5 torpedoes. Okay. So deadly. I remember when I used to play bounty hunting when I used to own, I think, the Vanguard. There's a Vanguard variant that shoots up to, I think, a size 4 torpedo. I think it was a size 4 or a size 5 torpedo. And that thing one-shots big ships. From what I recall, like, it was one-shotting ships. Like big ships. So taking that into consideration, this has 20 size 5 torpedoes, so it's pretty deadly. In addition to its 4 size 8 ballistic guns, it's deadly. It's coming with 50 SU, like I spoke about earlier, and yeah, enough space to put a rover, so you can add to the versatility of the ship. In terms of like even using it as a daily driver, you could put a Ursa in there. Hopefully you could fit maybe a rock or something just for your like use it as a daily driver as well, because you know people are going to want to use it as a daily driver. You know, when you have those vehicles that enable other gameplay opportunities, such as if you bring a Geo, Atlas Geo, you can do a little bit of mining. You put a little a rock in there, you could do more mining, and then you could put maybe an Ursa medevac for medical purposes. So it'll really add to the functionality of the ship, just as your day-to-day use of the ship. Okay, so now to look into more of this, it's classified as a large ship. So gunship bigger than the Connie, around the same size as the Hammerhead, just probably a little bit bigger than the Hammerhead, to be quite honest. I think it's probably going to be a little bit bigger than Hammerhead, but if you want to compare it to a ship, it's going to be the Hammerhead itself. Okay, so orbit. Zoom in. Love the silhouette of this ship. So the main gun here, but at the bottom here, all the way in the back, right there, you can see that gun, which you don't really see in the images. Yeah, like even if you look, zoom out, I can't even zoom out for some reason. But even on the side like this, when they had that image where it's sitting there. So this image right here, if you look at this image right here, you don't really see it, right? So that's why I always thought it was only going to be two main guns for it. But it's awesome to find out that it's actually 4 right here. So it's going to be a devastating gunship. It's going to be a devastating gunship, to be quite honest. If you see something like this, just run. All right, so now in terms of avionics, it has a 1 radar, 2 computers. We don't have these components to interact with yet in the game, but once they add that, I'm curious to see how these things are going to work, computers and radar. Hopefully they go in kind of the direction that EVE Online went, where with bandwidth and that allows you to run certain systems. It kind of caps you in terms of how much systems you can run at the same time. This way there's a little bit of gameplay with that as well. But propulsion, you're looking at 2 fuel tanks, 2 quantum fuel tanks, 1 Q drive, actually 1 quantum fuel tanks, but 2, I guess these are hydrogen fuel tanks, and 2 intakes, it says here. And a jump module, of course. Thrusters, 2 main thrusters in the back here. 2 times main thrusters and 2 times VTOL. But these, it looks like it's 4 though. It's 4 main thrusters. These are the 4 main thrusters, right? All right, and 2 times retro, 12 maneuvering. In terms of its systems, you're looking at 2 power plants. I suspect size 3s. Yeah, it's got to be size 3s, right? 2 size 3s, 2 size 3 coolers, and 2 size 3 shields. Yeah, I don't think they'll give it a capital class shield. I think they'll give it 2 size 3 shields, but I don't even think that's enough. Hammerheads, I think hammerheads have 2 size 3 shields, I think. Yeah. All right, so now weaponry, right? Initially, CIG pitched it as having 2 times 2 manned size 7s, but they bumped it up to size 8s. And then it says 2 times 2 size 3 weapons. So this weapon mount right here, I don't know why it does this, but this gun right here, there's a second one, probably at the very bottom. I don't know why this thing doesn't. Right there, it looks like. See that right there? Right there. Yeah, this is the second one. So this and this, okay? That's pretty good. 2 times 10 size 5 torpedoes. So 20 size 5 torpedoes. That's a lot of firepower. That's a lot of firepower, right? It's not near the size 10 torpedoes that the Polaris has, but that's the purpose of the Polaris. But this, just the torpedoes alone, it's a huge threat. Like, it can seriously damage something like an Idris if it can connect with those torpedoes. It, even with its guns, it can do some serious damage to critical systems with its armor piercing round. So CIG pitched that this thing will come with 2 ammunition types for its ballistic size 8s. Okay, armor piercing, and then the other one will be high explosive. I assume the high explosives is to probably just help remove PDCs, help kill PDCs or turrets, just do some serious damage, explosive damage on the hull of the ships, to deteriorate on the point defense turrets on capital ships. And then armor piercing is if you just want to hit critical systems, or if you want to do some serious damage to thrusters, to especially something like the Idris, a Polaris, just do some serious damage to its thrusters and its systems. If you know where the systems are, this thing will just go right through the hull, straight to that system, right? So it's very deadly, very, very deadly. All right, so now ultimately, this is one of the most anticipated ships. I think it's the most anticipated ship for this year. Super excited for it. So now, when can we expect this thing? We're expecting this by IAE. Last year, CIG released the Polaris. I believe it was the Polaris that they released last year, right? Towards, I think, into the PTU, right before 4.0 drops, right? So I expect this thing to be the same, right? I think this is going to hit PTU around IAE time. I'm not sure if they'll drop. I think IAE will be when they'll drop this thing into the PTU, where we could actually finally see this in game, right? So now, yeah, so that is the RSI Perseus. Super excited for this one. You guys let me know your thoughts. Are you looking forward to the RSI Perseus? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. We'll be covering other ships as well, so make sure you subscribe for that. I'll see you guys on the next one.